We're going over the patch notes, and we're going to end off the stream here. So if you want to just listen to me here on TikTok, this is post edit Grizz. And before we get the video started, just remember, this is my opinion. I got 400 hours in the game. We all have opinions, so don't get mad at me. Or head over to Twitch to see the actual, not patch notes, but whatever this blog post that they posted is. So it's an Overwatch 2 developer blog explained, matchmaker goals and plans part 2. Welcome back, heroes, for part 2 of our matchmaking series. In part 1, we talk about how matchmaking works. It's an incredibly complex system that needs to consider many different inputs to make every single game as fair as possible. For part 2, we're going to address some community concerns regarding the matchmaker from the perspective of the competitive game mode. Some community concerns, yeah, basically like them saying that we don't understand the system and that's why the system doesn't work. TLDR, your ranked games are formed based on your internal matchmaking rating, MMR, regardless of your displayed skill tier. Exactly, it's hidden skill-based matchmaking. No reason to call it anything else but that. MMR changes based on the results of each match, with the amount of MMR you gain or lose depending on several factors like how highly rated your opponents were, or how recently you last played. That's fantastic that that's how it works, yet there's absolutely no metric to track that. Most profiles are private. Doesn't matter. For team aware of some community pain points with competitive and matchmaking, we have a set of improvements coming to matchmaking. We're also working on updates to the competitive system. Fantastic. For competitive play in Season 3, we'll reduce the number of wins between competitive updates from 7 to 5 or 20... Wait. Or 20 to 15. Okay, so you're going to have to be 5 and 15 to get a new rank. That's good. For our matchmaker, we're implementing role delta changes that will match similarly ranked players within each role. I don't know what role delta changes means. Season 4 will include additional information about your current wins and losses on the competitive update screen. Our team has begun work on longer-term features and updates for both matchmaker and competitive game mode. That's garbage. That's a load of garbage. Why are we going to have to wait an entire 3 months, an entire season, to get information about your wins and losses on the competitive update screens? Like why? Like why? Add it. Like, it's not that hard. You know how much we're winning. You know how much we're losing. Just add it to the screen. Why are we waiting an entire season? Here's what we're currently seeing in ranked. We've seen your feedback on matches with wide skill variation, and we want to talk about a few reasons that could be happening, as well as our plans to address your concerns. The reason why it's happening is because it is a hidden SBMM feature, but we don't complain about it like they do in Call of Duty and other games. We allow our players to group together even when there's a difference in the MMR between parties. Yes, because if you don't allow us, how are we going to know who we can play with, considering it's a hidden MMR system? And this is a major source of wide skill disparities in matches. Again, we're working on some changes that will match parties with similar MMR disparities together more frequently, which we expect to noticeably reduce how often we make wide matches. This will make it much less likely for a solo player or a party with a narrow skill disparity to end up in a match with a wide skill disparity. Again, just show it to us. Just show it to us. Often matches with a wide displayed skill tier difference still look very close when looking at the difference in MMR between the two teams. You're right. But we don't know that because we don't know the difference in the MMR between the two teams because, again, they don't show it to us. Partial rank reset at the beginning of the season may be exaggerating this by making it look like someone is lower than their actual rank. However, regardless of the seasonal reset, both skill tier and MMR can decay over time for players who are inactive for a considerable amount of time. Players who return and may see dramatic shift to their skill tiers as they resume playing regularly and the game becomes more certain of that player's current skill. I thought it's an MMR though. Or is it only on decay that they're talking about that? Because resume playing regularly and the game becomes more certain of the player's current skill. I thought it was based on a game-by-game match. Didn't they say that earlier? We also seen the community talk about inconsistent games or how some games feel incredibly one-sided, and that feedback has been helpful. Understanding that what causes one-sided matches and how to reduce their frequency has become a major area of focus for our team. This is a tricky problem because one-sided matches can happen in Overwatch, even between balanced teams. So our first step has been to study the problem and understand the various factors that can cause one-sided matches, and we're planning to share what we learn with you in a developer blog down the road. Again, show it to us. Just show it to us. Competitive updates are another topic we've been exploring. We want you to feel a sense of progression without needing to focus on a super granular number like a skill rating, but we feel and agree with the community that competitive updates are a bit too infrequent currently. No, this is what the community wants. We want to focus on a super granular number like a skill rating. That's exactly what we want. We don't want this garbage where we don't know what we're doing or what's happening. Here's the direction we're taking and moving forward, what we're doing in Season 3. Based on the community feedback, we're implementing some updates for the matchmaker that try to place pairs of players with similar MMR on each role on either team. This means that opposing tanks should be more similarly matched than before, and likewise for the respective roles. So wait, based on we're implementing some updates in that try to place pairs of players with similar MMR on each role on either team. So does that mean that, like, if you have a bronze tank, the other team's gonna have a bronze tank? Is like kind of what they're doing? So not team MMR, but individuals against the roles. And then how does that work in open queue or CTF? Do they have their own skill ratings? This means okay. The goal with this change is to make the average MMR between each role more evenly matched to each other instead of looking more broadly across the entire team to balance things out. Okay, yeah, that's what I said. This is a major change in the matchmaker, so we'll actively monitor for unintended side effects. There probably will be, because it kind of sounds a little bit of a weird system. Like that you can have, like, I don't know, a diamond, plat, whatever, DPS, and then a bronze tank, and then same thing on the other team. We've seen feedback that having to play as many as 26 matches to get an update has been discouraging for players. 100%. 100%. Starting with Season 3, you'll now get a competitive update with every 5 wins and 15 losses. In the mid-season patch for Season 3, we're also updating the UI, so information about your progress towards a competitive update will always be viewable. Again, I don't understand why are we waiting for a UI? If they're going to add the information about your progress towards a competitive update, will always be viewable. Just add it. Why do we have to wait a couple months for this to happen? It's ridiculous. What we're doing in the near future, we've heard your feedback and confusion around seasonal rank decay and rank resets. Starting with Season 4, we're planning to remove seasonal competitive rank resets and all current and past seasonal rank decay. We'll continue to build out competitive updates in Season 4. Wait, what? Starting with are they going to do splits now? You need to have some sort of rank reset. Continue to build out competitive updates in Season 4 when we add information about your current wins and losses to the competitive update screen, which again, I can't believe that we have to wait entire season just to get some information on our wins and losses. We're hoping this additional context will help you better interpret changes to your skill tier and division in the update. Yes, that's true, and it will help, but again, we don't need to wait that long for it. We're also looking into possible ways to provide you with more information about the matchmaking quality of your game. I'm all for it. More information is better than less information. Long-term plans and goals. In the long term, we're planning to provide new ways for players to share a challenging and competitive experience in Overwatch 2. Share more on this down the road. Doesn't say anything. That said, matchmaking improvements are an evergreen area of focus for the team, and we'll stay focused on testing and deploying continuous improvements to our matchmaking algorithm. They've kind of said that since the first season. Finally, we'll continue to watch your feedback and improve upon the overall ranked experience over time. Our goal is continues to be delivering matchmaking that feels fair and balanced for everybody. I mean, it's eventually. Closing thoughts, the goal of the matchmaker is to make each match as fair as possible, meaning your team has an equal chance of winning or losing each individual match. We firmly believe that the most fun games of Overwatch are when they are fair. Yeah, don't you say? And our team is committed to discovering and implementing new changes and updates that align with our game with that goal. Overwatch 2 is continually evolving experience with new game modes, new heroes, new maps to explore. That's true right now, but it's not going to be true very soon because we're not going to get new heroes every season. We're not going to get new maps every season. And new game modes are meh. This also means we need to provide a constantly updated experience that can deliver the fairest possible matches through effective changes to how our matchmaker works and through clear communication with all of you. Look forward to seeing all of you on the battlefield. And let's go through this fact real quick. Do you deliberately place players into winner queues and loser queues? There are no winner and loser queues in Overwatch. Your current MMR is the only thing matchmaker takes into consideration when forming your match. You hear that? You hear that? They kind of just like, your current MMR is the only thing that Matchmaker takes into consideration when forming your matches. Matchmaker doesn't force a 50% win rate on anyone, nor do we favor certain players over others. I don't believe that, first. And second, so you give me a rank that means absolutely nothing. Absolutely zero. Zip. Because the only thing I'm matched with is my MMR. So what's the point of my rank then? What's the point of the rank? It doesn't display anything because it's not a true rank. Because if I'm playing with diamond players and my MMR is diamond, but I'm a gold player, why am I gold if my MMR is diamond? At its core, our matchmaker is a mathematical formula used to place similarly ranked players together in a match with the goal of creating as fair as game possible. Yeah. By the way, sometimes have a large win or lose streak. Sometimes if a player goes on a very long win/loss streak to indicate that their initial rating is not well calibrated. The best way to calibrate your rank is to continue playing competitively. The more data we have, the closer you'll get to the rank, the best. Okay, so if you win like 12, 15 games in a row, right? And you're just top frag every single game, I don't believe that. The game forces you into wins and losses. Like, they 100% do it. And anytime you have a day where you're winning 18, 20 matches in a day, like, the next day you're losing 10 to 20 in a day. Does my competitive rank affect matchmaking? We only create matches based on players' MMR, not the visible competitive rank. So what is the point of the rank? We only create matches based on players' MMR, not the visible competitive rank. So then what is the point of the rank? It makes zero sense whatsoever. When we decay ranks at the beginning of the season, this has no effect on players' underlying ratings. Why does quality of matches go down at the start of the season? Yeah, a lot of players stopped playing during season 1, came back. So the population of players playing ranked changed dramatically overnight. This is true. Ratings are a measure of your skill rating to the rest of the players you interact with, but let's also put the blame on Blizzard for that reduction, which is their fault. Could we do a full rating reset? A full rating reset wouldn't create a great experience. It would mean throwing out a lot of the knowledge we have about players, cause new players to be matched against Overwatch League pros, which is fun for about 30 seconds. We experience this ourselves in internal playtests. To be clear, ratings are 100% accurate representation of every player's skills. Some players aren't in the right spot, but the system is a vast store of knowledge about the relation in skill between millions of players, most of whom have never even directly played against one another. I mean, yeah, but I'm not happy with this. Not happy with it. Why am I hard stuck at a low rating that doesn't reflect my skill? Well, you guys know my opinion. There's no such thing as hard stuck. That's a complete opinion. Get better so the game forces you to get better teammates. Hard stuck doesn't exist. Ultimately, the only way you can increase your rating is to win more matches than you lose. Since you're putting any given... Ultimately, the way you can increase your rating is to win more matches than you lose. Why? I thought this was based on a skillful MMR rating, not my wins and losses. Since we're putting any given player on a random team with 9 random other players, with enough matches, that player's contributions are the only constant factor throughout, so their rating should end up reflecting their skill. There's some interesting phenomenon here, though, that make this more complicated. For example, we each have data showing that matches become less predictable the lower the average rating of a match. Predictability is a measure of how likely the favored team is to win, because 2 teams never have identical rating. One team is always going to have a slightly favor for a variety of reasons. Team coordination, gameplay mistakes, and new players who are trying different roles out, and 30+ heroes. The result is that we get a little bit less signal to use to calibrate ratings. We're working on some ways to use the signal we get more clearly. I mean, it's not that hard. Just lose less SSR, lose less SR when there's a difference. Like, if the teams are very, very close in SR, then it has a normal impact on players. But if you lose and you have less, your entire team has less than the enemy team, then just reduce it less. Just reduce it less. Question, so you don't take the number of eliminations, damage dealt, healing provided, or any other scoreboard to adjust MMR after each match? In Overwatch 2, your MMR adjustments after every match is not impacted by your performance in each match, regardless of your skill tier. This is for a few reasons. We don't want players to be focused on doing things other... So what is it based on? So your MMR is not... Wait, what? I could... Have they not contradicted themselves in this before? Like... Where did we... Bro, what are they on about? Or I'm just lost here. Where was I? Here we are. This for a few reasons. We don't want players to be focused on doing yep. Dealing the most damage or getting kills won't help your team if your actions don't help them push the payload or capture a control point. Also, for some heroes, especially those in support role, it can be challenging to determine if those numbers they produce reflect their skill. So does winning and losing reflect your skill? I still don't understand what this hidden MMR is based off of. It makes zero sense. Why do streamers and pro players often have such long queue times and often end up in poor quality matches? Perhaps a largest factor that influences match quality is that the population of players at that skill level, top 500, is small. Yeah. Towards the center of the rating curve, there are tons of players in the matchmaking queue for us to form, all of whom would allow for a good match, so it's much easier to ensure a good quality match. Yeah, I mean, considering, like, Diamond can play with, like, 65% of the player base because of this trash MMR system, yeah, it makes sense. Contrast this with Overwatch League pros, who make up something like lots of zeros, 1% of the Overwatch player population. For players at the very top, it's very hard to guarantee a good experience because there are just so few players. Fundamentally, it often comes down to a hard trade-off between making worse matches or dramatically increasing queue times, and they're unfortunately already very long for these players. I mean, listen, I think any game, when you're at the top, it's like that. We have some changes coming that should improve match quality for high MMR players, and we're talking about even more sophisticated things that we can do in the future. Wow. Closing thoughts. I'm disappointed. I'm upset. You know, it's like, yay, 5 losses. Like, this is a good change, but they kind of told us how the MMR system works, but they also didn't tell us how the MMR system works. And I don't know what their thought's going to be with no more rank resets. Like, are we just going to have it forever? Because then that's not good. That's not, unless they're going to add splits like other games have. I just still... Your MMR is the only thing that Matchmaker takes into consideration when forming your matches. So a hidden system, skill-based matchmaking, is the only thing that they match you on. You don't get to see that. Anything you do in a game doesn't affect that. Your damage doesn't, your healing doesn't, your mitigation doesn't, your eliminations don't. There is nothing that you can do in-game except for win a match that affects your MMR, apparently. Wow. That is not, I'm not happy about it, but we'll see what the big guys, the people that are smarter, know more about Overwatch, what they